Okay, welcome to another shop talk. I know it's been a while. I'm really pleased to be back. We've had a devastating fire here at Manor HQ. If you look back through some videos, you'll see why I've gone off the radar for a little while. I'm back now, and the first shop talk is going to be about the Origin, which is a handheld CNC. Now, if you're not familiar with the shop talk, it's kind of me talking about stuff that I use to help me my work, my design mainly, or interesting things that I found that I want to show you guys. So we're not going to go over old ground. There's loads of great videos on Origin. Shaper's got loads of technical videos as well, and there's other third parties out there. But what I thought I'd do something different is I'm going to show you guys how you create your design on the iPad, export it to the Shaper Hub, then you can import it into your actual Origin. And once you've got it in the Origin, you can then cut. If you're doing wood, you can cut the bow ties and you can cut the sockets, or any pattern for that matter. So what I'm going to do is actually export that file from the iPad to my friend who's got a CNC house where they do steel. He's going to cut these steels for us, and then we're going to use the Origin to cut the pockets and see if we can get this just to go straight in with a single file, no scaling, no messing around, so that going forward, if you design a pattern or a shape and you want to send it somewhere else to be cut in a different material, and you're just going to use the Origin to cut the sockets or the patterns, we can get this thing perfectly set up so that all the import and export is working. It's going to be really, really simple. So let's get started, and I'll take you through all that now. Okay, going to just explain on the Origin how you can cut with a virtual point. I mean, you couldn't even chisel that. That is absolutely pointed. There's no rounding on there or cornering. On the other end, just as an experiment, I did put in a 3mm curve, which means the 3mm cutter. Well, that one's a little under, but that one's bang on. So you can use the 3mm. So let me show you how this works. So the 1mm cutter, which is a tiny little bit like this, goes into a little collet adapter like that. And that will then go into a 6mm collet. And then the other cutters which come with the Origin are 8mm, and they just fit straight in here, as you can see. So we're going to start our cut with our 3mm. We're going to go around the edge and follow the line. And when we're finished with that, we're going to remove this. We're going to put in the 6mm cutter, and we're going to put it to a pocketing cut, and we're going to pocket all of that out. And for the final pass, which we can do with or without an offset, just to give it a final measurement, we're going to go down to the 1mm, and that will get us right into these corners and allow us to cut a perfect point. I'm going to go in with our 3mm here, put that into your collet like that, same as a router. I think this router motor is pretty special. It uses the same collets. If you've got a Festool 1010, you can swap them around, so you don't need to buy any more. Place the motor into the Origin like that, nip up the Allen bolt here, nip up the Allen bolt, you get all these tools with it. Then you can connect the power when you know you're safe, and then all you've got to do is bring the Origin over to the workpiece and tell it you've changed the cutter. So very, very simple. We're going to tell it what cutter we've got. We're going to say we've got a 3mm, and as soon as we say that, it says it needs to do its Z-axis. We're going to let it do that now. The cutter simply goes down, touches the workpiece, and then it knows the exact height. Okay, the first thing we're going to need to do is tell the Origin how deep we want to cut. We've already got this set, but 1.2mm, simple as that. That's how deep we're going to cut. Tell it the bit we've done. So then you need to load your design. So you go into design. That's the first one I did. We're going to import the design. It's called steel bow tie. There it is. We're going to put that where we want it on the piece. So we can rotate that, let's say 90 degrees. Move it onto the piece of MDF where we're cutting, or wherever it is, and then place it there. Okay, so before we do the cut, we've got to tell the Origin whether it's cutting the inside or the outside. Now, to cut the pocket for the steel insert, we want to cut the inside of the line, as you can see here. It's going to cut on the inside. And if we were cutting the actual insert itself, say the bow tie, you took to the outside, you can see that it's going to cut the outside of the line. And that's obviously going to cut the socket to go in. So we're going to start by doing an inside cut. We're going to follow Origin around for the inside cut. When we finish the inside cut, we're going to change the bit and we're going to do a pocketing cut. And you can see here what happens. The pocketing cut is just going to let you wiggle up and down, and you can move around and just remove the waste. And then the last cut, as I said before, is going to be with the 1mm bit. We're going to go back to an inside cut. We're going to really carefully go around, and this is going to give us our really sharp corners. This is a 3mm bit here, if you see. If I now change the bit to 1mm, you can see the difference. really tight in that corner. And that's how we're going to achieve this really, really tight, almost hand cut with a chisel, actually finer than a chisel, to be perfectly honest. See here, if you can, so you can see here, look, the corners, the edges rather, just in those far corners, they're rounded. That's because of the 3mm cutter. If we now go in with a 1mm cutter, we'll get that really sharp edge. So you can see here, I'm going to stop moving the tool physically, and I'm going to press the auto button on those corners. You can do it on the screen or with the thumb button, and it drives itself. Okay, let's give that a test. So that is just a perfect fit, even this little detail here. And the great thing is obviously we sent this to a CNC cutter, so we can change this for any color, size, whatever. We could even cut this out of wood and do it ourselves without using the steel, but absolutely brilliant, stunning. Now there is an offset system, I'll show you it, because to get an even nicer finish on the hard woods, you can creep up on that edge, do like a minus offset, and then you can put it to 0 or work out and do a couple of test fits. In our case here, the steel and MDF didn't need any offsets and the fit was perfect. We've got different ones we can try, we can get them out, very difficult. Got a nice polished one here. That's unreal, look at that. Now we had a perfect fit there, but there is an offset and you can put a minus or plus offset. So on that first cut, I could have done a minus offset of say minus 0.2, and then the last cut with the 1mm cutter would have done the finishing edge. That will give you a cleaner edge, creeping up on that very last cut, so it's not a plunge cut, but just for this test, it's a perfect finish and I'm happy with it in MDF. But here's your offsets if you need to change them, plus or minus. Okay, that's the first part. The second part's going to be the iPad, and I'm going to show you on Affinity Designs how you set up your document so that you're exporting at exactly the right ratio and size, so that when this thing goes into the origin, it's cut in the exact same scale as you see on the iPad screen. And also when you export the file and send it to, say, another CNC house, when they cut it and send it back, everything's scaled correctly. So I'm going to take you through the iPad stuff right now. Okay, so this is Affinity Designs. I've chosen this one because it's not that expensive and most of it works on an iPad and a Mac, which is what I like to work with. So the first thing you do on the setup page is set up which device you're using. Mine's an iPad 11. And the key here is you need 72 DPI. That is absolutely crucial. The next step is going to the document. As you can see there, I switched on the grid, and then you go down to the bottom and you choose your grid size. Now you need to go, for some reason, and resize the document, and you need to specify millimeters or inches, depending. We're in the UK, so it's millimeters. Then your grid will be set to millimeters. It's now pretty easy to do any drawings. You can see me here changing the grid size, so it's 10mm spacing. And now when you draw, I'm going to draw a square here, a rectangle. I can pick it up and snap it to the grid because I've switched snap on as well. Very simple little function. And the next thing I'm going to show how I did that little bow tie. First of all, I'm going to show you here how I do a regular bow tie. There's a tool called the node tool. You can see there. If you click and drag, you're going to create a node, and here you can snap to grid and make your kind of regular bow tie any size you like. And when you export, I'm going to show you that at the end, it will export exactly the right size so that any CNC or the Origin can cut to scale. So this is now the second bow tie, which is going to be similar to the one you saw me cutting. What you do is the same process as the node tool, but instead of clicking a point on the line to create a node, you just push the line in. So it's the same thing, but this is going to give us a flexible line and create the shapes for our SVG. If you click and push, click first and let go, that creates a node, and then you drag the node. If you just push the line, you can create these crazy shapes. Simple as that. The next thing I'm showing you here is the curve tool. This is crucial if you're not using a 1mm cutter. So you could put like a 3mm curve on anything. That if you've got like a 3mm bit, then you're going to want to use a 3mm curve. You can type it in here. Even that sharp piece on the right, you're going to see me just click and drag in a moment, and that's going to give us our 3mm curves. So now we're on the other kind of crazy pattern. You're using the curve tool, click on that little circle, drag it in, and then you can either type, whoops, there you go, drag it in, and now you've got your little curve, which is going to allow you to change. I mean, sometimes it's really nice to have curves. Some people seem to talk, I mean, this isn't a replacement for hand-cut bow ties or anything like this. This can obviously be a sign, it can be patterns, it can be much more complicated than a simple bow tie, and every time it's going to be repeatable. And the key to this is that once you create the pattern, the shape for the client or something you're interested for your design, is you've got it repeatable every time. So if you want 10 of them, you can scale the sizes or have 10 the same. It's a really labor efficient tool. And once you've done the file, you can store the file and you've got it forever. Okay, now we come to export. Now this is crucial. You select the file you want to export, select export, and then switch the setting to area, and you want to change it from whole document to selected. So we're going to go ahead and change that. And then the next crucial element is changing the DPI. The DPI needs to be 72, and you need to switch off set view box. That is what's crucial. Now you've done that, you can export the file and save it. I'm going to save it to my iCloud, and that means that I can export it to the iCloud, and then I can retrieve it. This is it going to the iCloud, and now I can go into the Origin Hub, and I can retrieve that file from my iCloud. There it is, bow tie test. That's going to load into the Origin Hub, which then means we can load it directly in to Origin, and you don't need to use any kind of dongles. If you don't have any Wi-Fi or iCloud, you can obviously do all of this by exporting to a USB dongle. Okay, that's it for this week's update. As I said, this isn't an in-depth on the Origin. This thing can do tons and tons of stuff. If you get over to the Shaper Origin channel, you'll find about all the in-depth and the really clever things it can do. I just wanted to show you guys from design, creation, to import, export, and how you can even send it out to a third party and still use the Origin to cut exactly the same pattern perfectly every time. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, and thanks so much for staying with me and staying tuned. See you all soon.